Okay, these are some pictures of Joachim and his life. Joachim was born on January 13th, 1938 in Vienna. The Neugroschel family was one of many that emigrated from Galicia and prospered in the capital of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. The family's specialty was engineering, but Joachim's father, Max, or Mendel in Yiddish, went into law. I don't know if he spoke Yiddish natively, but he may have adapted it in order to get closer to the Jewish proletariat. He and his wife were avid communists until a point in the 30s when Joachim said one or both of them actually went to the Soviet Union, saw what was going on, and got wise. And so they were already disillusioned from that by the time of the Anschluss, or annexation, of Austria, just a few months after Joachim's birth. Max is here. There is some resemblance to Joachim, as you can see. Here is Max on the left with two of, I believe, his four brothers. There's also a sister. Three of the brothers emigrated in the 1920s to Brazil, where they had a role in developing the Brazilian telephone system. Brazil will become important later. This is a picture of his mother in the 30s. As you will see the young pictures of him, you can see the fusion of the mother's and father's features. After the Anschluss, Joachim's father was fired and then went through a couple of concentration camps. This is in 38 and early 39, before they were actually death camps, before the Nazi invasion of Poland in the fall of 39 led to the final solution. Somehow they got out. I'm not sure how exactly. Joachim and his mother traveled separately from his father, but because of the family connection to Brazil, they got to Rio. That on the left is a picture of, I believe, Joachim on the beach in Rio in 1939 or 40. Joachim, this is with his father on the beach in Rio. This is the only picture I have ever seen of them together. The family sailed to New York in January of 1941, where they got an apartment up in Hamilton Grange on 139th east of Broadway. You can see how the street is sloping down the way it's so hilly up there. That is Joachim at 8 or 10. Even younger. There are a series of sequences of pictures of Joachim in which he seems to be trying on poses, as if he's trying to figure who he wants to be or the sort of person he wants to be. So these are the rooftop poses. Dashing. And then there are some portraits of him in the countryside. He had very strained relations with both of his parents. And so in this picture alone, he is standing one way. In this picture with his mother, his posture is different. This would be sometime in the early 50s. Again, growing into his adolescence. Posing. Joachim skipped a couple of grades, and so he graduated from Bronx Science in 54 and entered Columbia College in that same year. These are unretouched photos from the freshman Facebook. He's 16. Here are some undergraduate poses. That looks like Broadway to me. Maybe Riverside Park. Some photo booth poses. Somewhere between 16 and 20. He is extremely handsome, and he looks like both. He looks like he's clearly a combination of his mother and his father, but he's good looking and he knows it. Posing with, I guess, the first or one in a long series of cats. This, I don't know, this might be post-collegiate. You see the hair is different. We might be getting into the 60s here. When he graduated from college in 1958, he immediately moved to Europe and really did not return for 7 years. He lived in Paris a bit and mostly Berlin. I think this is early 60s. He did not return until the death of his father in February 1965. This is the picture from the passport that he had to get immediately in order to return. He looks kind of stunned. This is a painting by one of his many artist friends, Sylvia Slay, who specialized in realistic paintings of naked men. I don't think this is all of the picture. This is from 1970, so he's 32 years old. And this is the first appearance of his beard, which is the way most of you who know him from after 1970 know him. These are pictures of a documentary crew in his Upper West Side apartment. His boyfriend at that time said they were doing a documentary about some minor author, and they were very gregarious but later naive. Later they went downtown and walked into one of the courthouses and began to film a trial, or tried to without permission, and they were all arrested. This is what his house in the Rockaways looked like also. There are a lot of papers, there's a futon, there are books, and there are some plants, and there really isn't much else. This is from the fall of 1981, when he had both the Rockaway house, where I lived with him, and the Upper West Side apartment. In the early 80s, he had to give up the Upper West Side apartment. Nice picture. This is my favorite picture. This is by a man named Tom Warren, taken in the Semaphore Gallery in the East Village in 1983 at an exhibition of Mark Kostabi that we will, from whom we will hear later. It's sort of happy and open. It's my favorite. That is Mark Kostabi, an East Village artist, a friend of his, with perhaps Mark Kostabi's girlfriend. This is how Joachim looked more or less when I lived with him. That is him with his two cats, Chaucer and Dickens. That is the only picture I have of us together in a restaurant, an Indian restaurant on Central Park South on a high floor. It was incredibly stuffy. I remember looking out over Central Park and thinking how many cubic miles of oxygen I was unable to breathe. This is one of two paintings of Joachim by Daryl Trivieri, a very gifted artist who also came out of that East Village scene, who also sketched me. If you see my Facebook page, it's a drawing of me by Daryl that I didn't even know he did. Oh, and that was on the right there, that is Daryl. I've spoken to Daryl. He lives upstate now. He couldn't make it. Joachim on some kind of throne. Joachim in the 90s at the house of Major E. Kellogg, a set designer upstate. He had a house upstate for many years as well. And this is a booklet from a children's party on board, traveling from Rio to New York. This is 10 days before his third birthday. He's on the bottom right. They misspelled his last name, and they spelled his first name in the Portuguese way. He was coming from Brazil. I'm on a ship sailing. A sailing on the sea, and oh, it is all laden with pretty things for me. And those are the pictures.